Welcome to Friday. It is a special edition of Meet the Press Daily, and I'm Chuck Todd. Right now, we want to take a deep dive into what is now obviously a near-death experience that our democracy suffered at the end of the Trump administration. The situation was far more dire than we thought. If that's even possible. This week, thanks to new reporting and the disclosure of hundreds of pages of White House and Justice Department emails, we now have our clearest picture yet of what was happening inside the Trump administration leading up to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. So I'm going to take you inside what we now know about this stunning 24-day period between the Electoral College vote and the January 6th certification of that vote, when our democracy, yes, was hanging on by a thread. So I want to start on the day of the Electoral College votes, December 14th. That's when the Deputy Attorney General at the time, Jeffrey Rosen, gets an email from the White House with the subject line simply, "From POTUS." Attached to the email from POTUS are materials alleging that voter fraud in Michigan, where Trump lost, with talking points alleging a cover-up there. That email hits Rosen's inbox right before the president announces that Bill Barr is out as Attorney General and that Rosen will now be the acting Attorney General at DOJ. Bill Barr leaves officially on December 23rd, putting Rosen in charge of the department on that day. Well, I want to go a few days later, sixth day of Rosen as acting Attorney General, December 29th. He gets another email. This one is from Trump's White House assistant. It copied on this email are the Solicitor General and the acting Deputy Attorney General. It's an ask from the president to review a draft complaint to take to the Supreme Court to overturn the results in 6 states of the battleground states where Trump lost. The pressure from the White House and DOJ just keeps coming and keeps getting more and more unhinged. In fact, let me go 2 days later. I want to take you to January 1st, okay? This is a day when some people are waking up with hangovers, other people are getting ready to watch football. But the White House Chief of Staff that day, Mark Meadows, has a lot of emailing to Rosen. In fact, he sends Rosen 3 emails that day. And he asks him to look into so-called election anomalies, including the bizarre conspiracy theory that the election was somehow stolen from Trump by Italian satellites. You heard that right. The White House Chief of Staff wanted the Department of Justice to look into an Italian satellite conspiracy theory. Well, Rosen's deputy at the DOJ calls this stuff pure insanity. Rosen himself asks, "Can you believe this?" He says he's going to ignore the White House's request. And so think about that moment. On January 1st, Rosen may have been one of the last remaining guardrails for our democracy. And remember, as this is all unraveling, the White House isn't only pushing the Department of Justice. So no satisfaction on January 1st. What happens the next day? January 2nd, the infamous phone call with Georgia's Secretary of State, which we get the recording. Remember, go find the votes. Go find the votes needed to overturn the election results, so asked then President Trump. And it prompts the Secretary of State to essentially tell the president, we believe the data you have is wrong. And he bluntly tells him this. And now, when you look back on that second day of the year, the Georgia Secretary of State may have been one of the last remaining guardrails for our democracy. Let's go to the next day, January 3rd. This is the culmination of the stunning episode where Trump purportedly tries to oust Rosen, since Rosen won't do his bidding as acting AG, and install a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Clark. This was the lone DOJ official, it appears, who had demonstrated a willingness to pursue Trump's conspiracy theories. Ultimately, Trump does stand down. Why? Because a group of DOJ officials threatened to resign en masse if he goes through with it. Think Nixon, if you will. And it prompts an apparent sigh of relief from one DOJ official who tells his colleagues, the cause of justice won. And after all these efforts behind the scenes, basically to topple our democracy fail, brings us to January 6th. President goes to the ellipse, and we all know what happens after that. A riot is incited. The Capitol is breached. Senator Lindsey Graham himself describes it, they could have killed all of us. At nearly 4 in the morning, Congress does count the Electoral College votes. They certify Joe Biden as the winner, and democracy survives. But as you can see, it nearly didn't. Trump's effort to overthrow the 2020 election wasn't just tweets. He really tried. And a handful of people at the Department of Justice basically held strong, but it hung on by a thread.